Okay, so I got some interesting news.
Mhm. Okay.
So I made the critical part seems to be dynamic tool discovery. Um, as it turns out, this is we're not the only ones, right? So we got to get away from this huge dump of tools to something light and nimble that just wiggles around the place and finds the right tool. Uh, there are no good benchmarks out there that currently measure that, although there are some. But um, what I want to note is that the deep research part, the deep research products of OpenAI work with an MCP server that has a very narrow function signature. It basically has fetch and find, and that's it.
Mhm.
And so a small number of tools that is repeatedly navigated through seems to be the future. And I wanted to call out a couple of the assumptions that I'm making just to make sure that you agree with it during the
Mhm.
course of showing you how the dynamic tool discovery works. So here, for example, is I'm gonna grab this thing. I'm gonna add a tool. I'm gonna add an MCP server. Add a new server. It's gonna be, oh boy, this one. It's gonna have a name, artifact, authentication by access token. Please work. Everyone's watching. Okay. So
How do you memorize your access token?
I'm a computer nerd.
I'm just, yeah, yeah,
What do you want me
yeah.
to do? What?
Move
What?
on.
What? What? Like, what do you think I do all day? Like, just fucking look at pictures
No,
and fucking.
no, stick it in a vault.
I know we haven't
Copy
produced
paste.
product in a while, buddy, but I do have some skills. I just want to remind you.
Okay, that's fine.
The classic never require approval for any tool call. So this is, you remember that big long list of 46 tools that I previously showed you?
Mhm.
I've reduced it down to three. Um,
Switch, search, fetch. Okay.
yeah, so I'll show you a bit more about them. So search is basically does what it says on the label, and fetch is the same, but switch is the special one because switch actually swaps out the tools in the MCP server, and then now they're available to the agent to call.
By switch, is it like a crawl kind of thing where you forget the last but you switch to the next?
Yeah,
Or is it
and that's
something
one of
else?
the key design decisions that I wanted to check in with you on. The forcing the bot to drop context wherever possible seems to be
Mm-hmm.
the right thing to do, because otherwise you're asking it to not only consider all the tools but also consider if it might have too much context, and then you say to it, well, now you got to choose on top of all the other tasks I've given you when to drop a tool and when not to. And so if you think
Mm.
about it that way, it seems like the only correct time to drop the tool is as soon as you picked up another one.
Yes, although being able to back out of a bad choice might be useful. But
Yeah, well, you just switch again. You can switch.
so you remember where you come from in the
Well,
switch.
that's the thing. You remember where you came from because the message history holds the tool calls that you made. So the bot
Mm-hmm.
knows what it switched to last time, and then if it doesn't like where it ended up, it can switch again, because surely that history means something.
Right. So you basically got a hierarchical search where you can go back up one, or you can go
No, I
down
wasn't. I
one.
wasn't making it like that. It's like you can just switch to if you know the ID that you last had, which you would because it would be in the message history and the tool call that you made said it, you can then put that in. And I didn't want to get into POSIX navigation rules for navigating the tool tree using like dot dot and slash this and that, because again it sounds like the principle is you want to deburden the bot. Like the bot needs to focus on the job it's doing, and the more you make it have to think about how to use the tools, the worse it'll get.
Yes, absolutely. And the smaller smaller number of things it can do with the tool, the better it will get.
Yeah, and then another issue or another benefit is that the deep research models from OpenAI are trained on that very narrow feature set, which means that the bot, surely that will be integrated into more and more models in the future. And one of the assumptions I was making that I wanted to check in with you on is that right now deep research is kind of slow, but we should imagine that it will soon be blazingly fast, like all things have shown to be. And so getting the correct tool is more about the agent that's asking for the tool is signaling intent, and then a deep research run should kick off that navigates around, backs up, backs down, tries lots of things to come up with like, this is the tool you want.
Right. But that still comes down to searching the tree of possible tools, where some tools may be very close.
Yeah.
So a confidence level of, hey, I've got two tools here. One does this, that. This one other does that. I know my intent. How am I going to make a decision in order to switch?
Yeah, but that becomes a property of the bot to get it right, and it also becomes, in the meantime, a property of our architecting, because we should be composing bots together in a way that a function call in that's going to kick off some other bots should be treated like it's the main bot dealing with 1,000,001 things, is signaling intent to the backend system. And then if its intent is, hey, I need this tool, the other bots should like kick off and force and just like blah, blah, blah. I don't think we should worry about the time it takes. We should worry about the correctness of it to start with.
Well, yeah, I would add to that. I agree. I would add to that correctness varies. Sometimes correctness is good enough. Sometimes correctness is best.
Right, but there's not the point. The issue with the ecosystem right now is that whilst I believe these models will sort of work okay with this thing that I'm proposing, mostly because I know for a fact that deep research works with it, the models aren't really measured on this. Like, there are starting to be benchmarks that pop out, like a key parameter to measure is function missing detection. Like when the bot's looking at the tools it's got and it's like, none of these work. Like, detecting that is pretty crucial to us.
Is that stuck?
Oh, absolutely. It's just I'm nervous because we're about to make a call on an architecture that I don't fucking know any other way around, and it's got some holes. The holes are the models are iffy, and the ecosystem is iffy on this way of doing things. I pray it works. A lot of it's going to be down to our prompting and our own abilities to work around these problems in the short term. But as proof or vindication, GitHub has started to do this thing with its own MCP server. So GitHub's made this MCP server that's super, super helpful because it actually gives you the equivalent of full API access to all of its operations, but it breaks them down and it calls them tool sets. And so you load up a tool set, like if you want to deal with actions, you get these tools. If you want to deal with code security, these ones, context about the user, issues, these are your issues tools. And they intend for the human to cherry pick what to do most of the time. But there is a special experimental mode that they've added called Dynamic Tool Discovery.
Okay.
Which is where you only get 2 tools, which is like it was like a search tool and a fetch tool and a load tool, so 3 tools, and that's doing what I was just describing.
So the heavy lifting is on the search there.
The agent needs to be good at driving the search. Yeah, it needs to make good search choices.
Mm-hmm.
But if it does that, it keeps its context small.
Right, but we can mitigate any particular model set and temperature setting set by a local consensus. So
there's a range of techniques, some of which we don't know yet. But basically, I'm warning you that we are going to have to technique through this, because unless you can tell me some other thing, this is a blaringly obvious problem that it's gonna be an error in our system.
Interestingly enough, to go back to the translation guys, the consensus is the key to that, in that you run a translation through multiple models with different temperatures, as many as you want, but then you need to come to a single conclusion. And there are various models that are well proven about doing that, but essentially it's confidence and assurance levels. So the problem I've found at the moment I've got is models are very difficult. Find difficulty in gauging their own confidence level at their own scope.
Yeah. That's called calibration. That's called calibration. And GPT-5, I don't know what its calibration scores are, but its hallucination rates are very low. And I think that hallucination and calibration are very closely related, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So this is a design decision that I made that I want to check with you. I have decided to make our tool navigation, which is basically search, load, execute, as the pattern. I have made that compatible with the OpenAI deep research model. So for example, I've been able to, using our MCP server, use one of the new deep research models, O4 Mini Deep Research, to kick off and do some work. Now this is it running on our MCP server. First it lists the tools. Eventually.
While it's happening, I'm not sure I've got the lowdown on how deep research works, other than is researching deeply.
All that it's doing is it's calling search, and then it gets back an array of results. Each result has an ID, and then if it likes some of the ones it found, it goes fetch, and it gets the full article. It repeats that until it's satisfied it has enough answers. Now, somehow or other, with just those simple tools, is it what?
Recursive.
How would it be recursive?
You find a tool which can cover many instances of what you're trying to do, and then you call again saying, I've got this result, call again, kind of get a closer result.
I don't know. I haven't. Deep research doesn't work like that. No, it's like one thread the whole way through, which is kind of the issue, right? Like we want it to be able to expand out and be like, boom, here's like 100 threads kicked off with each one with a different valid angle, and then they come back with all options explored. Here's your answer, type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think that's. Sorry to interrupt your thought through, but the problem I've been having is there is a dichotomy between having a search for a very tightly defined tool, which requires the bots to understand exactly how to search through that, and because tools can be bundled, it's easy to find a bundle saying, "Hey, I want to do translation. I want to do translation to Spanish. I want to do translation into Latin American Spanish," and so forth, all the way down until you get it as tight as possible. That is because it's a number of steps. It's prone to error at each step, and that error can get amplified each step. It's like you've gone down a rabbit hole, completely wrong way to go through it.
Yeah, so that's a prompting issue. This is really the gist of what I'm trying to call out here. Like, I don't know any other way to do this. We're gonna have some prompting work where we're like, these kinds of issues are gonna occur until the model ecosystem adapts. And the gamble that I'm asking for is like, is that the right gamble to assume that the ecosystem is going to catch up to this way of doing things? Or should we value performance in the meantime?
Okay, so here is my. I try not to think about, but from my gut. But here's my gut thought. 5 is definitely better, but I think we're starting to come off that steep part of the S-curve.
Thank Christ for that. It's finally we're at the top.
Yeah, I think what we're going to get each model is something slightly better and no longer, orders of magnitude better.
It's not just jaw-droppingly like holy shit balls,
Yeah. I think we're starting to come out of the curve now. Now that's not to say that someone's not going to come up with a completely unique way of training AIs, but at the moment we've got stage 1, which was use the total content of the internet. Stage 2, use AIs to generate new content, and it's like, okay, right now 5 was a bit of a damp squid in many ways.
It was a massive flop.
Yeah, and it didn't help with their marketing.
I'm so glad that. Yeah, I know. I'm so glad.
Did you see that?
Can we finish the thread? No, finish the thread. You are on the thread.
Yeah. So the point being, I think we can assume that we're going to get incremental improvements from this place, which means the onus on accuracy comes down to getting the context that you're asking each model to consider as low as possible. Because as soon as you reduce,
right. So again, all right. So to summarize that even further, the key from here on in for everyone a day is context reduction.
I believe so at the moment.
All right. Okay. So if we bet on context reduction and the consequences of that, such as the models being attuned for things like no tool call is relevant, having a small triad of tools like search, read, and load, like those types of things look like the future, right? That's what you and I are gambling upon.
I believe so. I would add to that in that and to believe that confidence levels are very important. So taking one model, what we're talking about is reducing the context until it's razor sharp, but we still don't know whether it's going to be good enough. And so we've got a number of models.
Yeah, all right. So once again, I think I can bundle all of the things you're talking about as to prompting problems. My question is, the angle I'm hitting at is towards this small number of dynamic tools called over and over again.
Yeah, because those are the targets, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll go down that path then.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. So here's an example of that tool set being applied by the latest O4 deep research. And I just want to call out some interesting shit here. I realized we tried too many search attempts, 9 in total, which exceeds the developer's guidance of stopping after 5. Now, I need to address the situation without bringing up that we've overshot.
Oh, the sneaky bastard.
Sneaky, that's
It's like, guys, don't mention it.
It's like, just shut up
Yeah.
and search. Keep searching. And then it's like, I'll do some more searches to cover my tracks. So here,
Oh, bastard.
yeah. But anyway, so
That's
that's
quite funny.
that's our MCP server is compatible here with O4 Mini Deep Research. That was really the key thing. The other
Okay.
thing I wanted to bring up is that I can go into here. I didn't, part of me didn't like making this compatibility choice because it meant that, like, we're compatible with OpenAI, but we're not, strictly speaking, that's a special allowance that we've made for them. But then again, like, you know, we are OpenAI guys, so it's kind of like, you know, that's
Yeah.
it's
but
kind of minor. I thought,
Well, we're not deep OpenAI guys. We could add in other models, but so long as for
yeah.
example, in this case,
So
connectors.
this was the thing I wanted to show you, that after I hooked up all the OAuth stuff, this is what I can do. So this is vanilla ChatGPT that you come into, add a new connector, go create.
Stuff happening.
Check your email. Oh God, in VR, come on now. Come on now. Your authentication code is 101.
Single use.
Okay. Hey. Okay, and now sign into Dreamcatcher.
Oh, hello. Okay.
Hello. I'll sign in with Googly Face. Yeah, I'll just leak all my email addresses across the planet, whatever. There's the password. The password. Okay, signing back in. Yep, better be. Back around again. Back into Dreamcatcher. Would you like to allow ChatGPT? Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Artifact is now connected. Boom.
Okay.
Refresh the actions. Here it says MCP server can't be used, but now it's like you can use this for chat and for deep research.
Oh.
And so that means that in the background we can hook up kind of all our shit and we can deep research our repos.
That is really cool. Sir.
I don't know if that lets us call arbitrary tools through ChatGPT, but maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But what we definitely have access to is deep research.
Right.
And so what I do now is I go blah, 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 use connectors, blah, 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 artifact. And then I can do stuff. So that's good. I just wanted to show you that because that's a benefit of maintaining that compatibility.
Yep. That's quite lovely, actually.
It's kind of cool. And then we'll be able to, in our main interface, we'll be able to see, the progress of it, navigating tools, loading tools, doing more stuff. So that's what I've been doing. That's halfway through my show, tell, and lament and question thing.
That's quite sweet.
Are there any questions?
No. I get why you're going down this route. I'll not reiterate my previous questions.
Okay.
But that's quite sweet. I like that.
Okay. Cool. All right. So in a roundabout way, that was me saying the future is probably your problem.
Yes. I'm looking forward to it and dreading it.
Good. Very good. Okay, I found these guys, which is pretty good. So they are, I don't know if you got a time to read through their blog, but basically they are sort of trying to make some aspects of what we're talking about with the Wikipedia for bots, so that bots can go and learn a bit more. Because let's not forget that during this tool search, the bot is welcome to use web search as well. So while it's looking for a tool of ours, it can browse the web and find other stuff. Now, the main thing that deep research seemed to, or struck me as, is that with scores in things like Humanity's Last Exam, deep research scores like massively higher than a standard model, and yet all it has is those two tools. And so it says to me that the technique of loop, 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 loop is like, that's what gives it the extra boost, and we must assume that the training will continue, and the performance will continue.
Well, that's right, but remember that loop is like a model-centric way of consensus. So it's like, is this right?
Yeah. Like a swarm of agents type of thing, right?
Right. We shouldn't be bound to a single model.
Nah. In fact, you want multiple ones.
Yeah.
So my deeper question, just to pause, and we can call this intermission or whatever, is that I came up with toolpacks and went through all the rigmarole of sounding it out throughout our systems and our use case, and only then was I able to find that GitHub was doing something similar. How could I have avoided that time and could have known that before?
Okay. Well, your process would have been something like honing the question, which is always the heavy lifting of any kind of concept. It's like, what am I actually asking here? Once you find the question, then it's relatively easy to find if someone else has answered it.
No, but that's the same as what I did.
Yeah,
Like
well,
that,
yeah.
the only reason I found GitHub was because I was like, I came up with the idea of toolpacks, and then I was like, hang on a minute, what else is out there?
Yeah, but your question was there a way to avoid it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure there is a way to avoid it
Well,
until you know what the question is.
well, then that's okay. So one way that it could be done is that, so we entered a new area. We recognized it was a new area. It was MCP. What possibly should have been done is a bunch of agents go out and they find what's the bleeding edge innovation of MCP servers. What are the recurring, we run deep research and it comes back and says the recurring problems are this, the long-term shortcomings are that.
You need to prompt it with some kind of context, though, because otherwise it's just going to wander through the space of everything that's happening in NCP, and I'm sure
Yeah,
quite a
but
lot of
that's what
stuff
you
is
want.
happening.
That's what you want. You want it to go through everything that's happening in MCP, and then we should have maybe said, okay, what are the big players doing? What's Amazon doing? What's GitHub doing? And that would have got us closer. But I guess remember I was talking to you the other day about this idea of having a taxonomy or a way to classify things that are typically not considered classifiable because of the amount of human effort it would take for the amount of human benefit you'd get. But using agents, it should be pretty easy to do a map of the MCP landscape where you would have derivations of things like your core MCP use case here, that MCP UI thing that I showed you, then dynamic tool discovery, big players coming on the scene. Like, you should be able to make these understanding maps a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, hypothetically, you're right, but
because this won't be the last
how would you
time that
do
we
that?
step into a new area, and I just want to, I'm tired of stepping in, working my ass off, and then like finding that there was a bunch of key stuff that maybe I wouldn't have recognized right at the start, but either way, there's got to be a better way to do this.
How to do that? I mean, you could, for without stating what your intent is, I guess you could have an AI that looks to what you're doing and try to discern your intent and then go out
Right. Yeah,
into deep
right.
research.
Right. And it should, but it should, a lot of what I do is consequence based. Like I'm like, well, if that, then therefore blah 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 blah. It should run off and find the consequences before I've even mentioned something is one way.
Yeah, but it's in your head. How are you
No,
going to be
it's not
connecting
though,
into the
because
bot?
look, it's also in my it's also in all my chats. Like, because I you look at everything here that says MCP. It's like one, two, three,
So you're saying that you've been
four,
asking
five.
around this problem,
Yeah,
and
around. I've been asking around it a lot,
right,
like a lot.
right, and it's like I've on your behalf, I've gone out and pulled in a whole bunch of people who are also asking around that same question, and
Well, it's
maybe the
not
question's been
so
answered.
much. It's like it's not doing search for me. It's doing proactive ideation and discovery so that when I go to talk to it, it doesn't have to go to the web. It's got this knowledge base that it's curated, that it built based on
Mm,
how it knows I like my knowledge sorted and what
like
slant.
an ideas vector space, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. But I also feel like having a map generator of a subject or a topic that you and I could both look at the same map and be like, well, what happens here? What about this? You know, what about that? Because a lot of these things were me actually probing that map by asking things like, what happens if I use this feature in this way? Who else is using this feature? You know, what's common? You know, like some sort of a heat map or like a vote rating where it's like, well, you know, 93% of projects that have over this number of users have used this type of pattern.
Or a graph where the links are confidence levels thing is like a bit like this, or maybe
Yeah,
two or three
yeah,
steps away,
yeah, like
and then
relationship mapping.
yeah, and then how would you do that? It's
Because
like
the thing is, my queries. The issue with ChatGPT is that my queries are the cold starting every time. They're like cold start queries, and I
yeah.
actually have a lot of context that I've built up. It's not well defined, and I didn't have the time to squeeze it down. But surely a bot can do that for me. Surely.
Oh, that part, yes, absolutely. And I've been doing that myself, where taking threads and getting condense it. The prompt is pretty simple.
Mm.
And then I've got a number of these nuggets. So when I go to a cold start, it's going, here's what I've been talking about before.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Um,
that should sort of be built in. But I guess it's almost like an astral plane sort of thing. Like it maps anytime we go into a new area, it should first of all be like, hey guys, you stepped into a massive area. Did you know? And we're like, nah, I just,
well, actually, oh, oh, that is interesting because there's an indicator there if this is a massive area or if this is completely barren. Nobody's ever gone there.
yeah, yeah,
Now,
yeah,
if it's completely barren, maybe that's a good thing. But you know, okay, I'm not gonna have any help from anyone.
mm,
You might also think that it's barren because lots of people tried and failed. If you
right.
go
But
into an
yeah,
area that, sorry, yeah, you know where I'm going on this. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. And so you should be able to spot trends. Like you're like, is you know, like basically call me when MCP develops to a maturity stage that we can jump on board with it and then leave it. Because we dealt with MCP when it first came out, like the day after. We were both like MCP, MCP, and then I was like, MCP sounds like Naps, but it's not quite, and then blah 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 blah. And
Hmm.
I didn't I missed the relevance for us and how we could integrate with it so deeply. Uh, you could argue that the revisions of the thing weren't there, but still, like, how much time would have been saved if where we are now was discovered back in November? Like, because that's when MCP came out. That's when you and I were speaking about it, and we've basically spent all the time from then until now, not being in MCP land. When actually now we are heavy, and I'm looking at that loss and being like, buddy, how are we gonna not have that happen again?
Well, okay, let me think of this. So if you think about your standard issue, like n-dimensional vector space, and you look at how close ideas are, we were working on it without knowing that someone else is working on NCP. If there was a bot that had that vector space saying, hey, you guys are working on something that looks pretty close to what these guys are working from, then perhaps both parties would have accelerated.
Mm. You
So
know, I just definitely wanted to put that one in your head, because we should have been able to get on board earlier, and now that our tooling is approaching, we should be able to come up with tools that can watch the world for us and make sure we don't have these kinds of delays or loss or miss. You know, like we sailed straight past it, basically.
Isn't it a matter of like an idea radar? You know, if you think about ideas passing in the night.
Yeah, and it keeps watching, because the issue is that I can only look at so much at a time, right? As can you. Right. But these bots, they should be able to sweep the whole horizon and then like relate it to what we're doing, and then be like, you know, maybe you want to spend a little time over here. Give me some more context. And then whatever I do becomes more fuel for it to burn off.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is in the correlation of ideas, saying you're working in the same space, rather than the reason that you found that, and you know, we both found that video about the guy doing the cluster, was because lots of other people.
Right.
So the indicator was just popularity.
Right, but even between us two, there were things that we both saw that we skimmed past but had no idea that the other person was looking at. And so even that type of like showing me when I'm close to you in the map, in the idea map, you're like, hey, Scott's been here. Why don't you talk to him? You know, Scott was over here the other day.
Right.
And some days I might be like, who the fuck is Scott? And then I'm like, you know, over in this map, in this part of the map where I haven't been before, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then, you know,
absolutely. So there's the idea trail, and there's also where you've moved. So maybe, you know, one group have tried something and moved off an idea but left a trail. That trail's
like, I guess if you could present it as a map, a genuine map that was open world, so it's infinite, and then you can see where your mates are and where your friends have been, then you can kind of, it's really quite social then. It's a multiplayer game.
Yeah, and you're looking for what is hot to trot and how close it is to what you're doing, because you don't want to have to, well, it's a merge issue, isn't it? You don't want to have to repeat what something else has done if it's quite close, but quite close needs to be in, you know, n-dimensional vector space.
Yeah.
But that can be done. And if someone has moved off from something, that's another indicator.
Yeah, like why'd they bail, I guess, is another thing you want to answer.
It's really interesting.
So,
I guess what you're asking for is, well, you called it discovery as opposed to search. Search, you know, is, you know, indexing. This is not indexing.
Yeah, or like an awareness, you know, like just a... a way to save that time, because that's that's coming up to 10 months that was spent not on this path. Now, would we have been any different? It's hard to say, but
But the very least of it is whether we'd be ignorant of what others are doing. It's the reduction of ignorance, as opposed to whether we change anything.
the reduction of ignorance, yeah.
I do in my head see.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I've offloaded the message. We need that because like these are expensive problems.
I think
so
it's probably going to be an expensive solution as well. If we could crack it.
Sounds like quite the salesman pitch. Okay. So I'll move on to the next topic if that's okay with you.
Yeah, go for it.
This is the really fuzzy one, all right? So I just want to before we dive into this one, I want to avoid the problem of latch. So I'm going to lay down a bunch of ideas that are not fully formed, but I don't want to get stuck on a particular reception that you've had of them because I think it's quite subtle what's underneath.
Okay.
So I don't know how to deal with that other than to call it out. If it's happening, I'll be like, I feel like that's a latch, like it's latched unnecessarily. It's got stuck and we need to shift off because it's missing where I'm trying to get to. It's a very difficult UI problem, this type of thing.
Okay. I'll go with your definitions at every point.
Okay.
Probably the easiest way of doing it.
So here's what I'm trying to show you. I won't bore you with framing the problem, but the idea I want to get to is to ditch. I'll start with the classic bad way to describe something, which is the current state of things. Oh, come on now, please. Please stop making me sign into everything. It's on the same computer. Hang on, I can change that. I made this. Anyway, some other time. So this brings in the notion of assistants, right? Where you can have these different assistants, but the issue is that you can't, like, it's hard to be in a chat with GPT-5 and then switch to having a chat with OSS 120B and still have the context carry forwards, right? Every time I click this button, it's context dropped, context drop, context drop, context drop. Even when I switch between chats, context drop, and then we were talking about healing that a little bit by allowing you to attach previous chats or click on them and whatever. But it's sort of like, at the same time, we also wanted the bot to be able to drive the user interface. The user interface is already quite disjunct. Like, there's all these different sections. Then we had this idea that this bar down here should really just click off a new chat with a particular type of bot, like the Stux bot. And all you're doing here is you're just swapping out your bots, right? Which kind of compounds this whole problem again, but it does still give us a little bit more what we wanted. All right, so on top of that, we have this mode of development where we're saying that everything should be a tool call, and to make a self-aware system, self-aware in the sense that it's aware of its embodiment at each time, it means that it knows what it's showing to you on the screen. It can navigate its own self around. It can help you and answer questions, and you can be like, what's showing in the leftmost panel on the screen? And it's like, oh, that's easy. It's the quick shortcut bots options. And you're like, yeah, this thing feels like it is with me. It's not far away, okay? So that's all sort of well and good. But then you and I often talk about having these background agents a lot of the tasks that we want the machinery to kick off is background triggers, background things. We haven't dealt with how do we show background tasks? How do you see what's happening inside the background task? How do you prompt the background task in the same way as you would prompt a bot to improve it, to evaluate it, all those kinds of things, right? Those things we've just swept out to the future.
Mm-hmm.
Then the last key problem is that often we talk about context, and we want the bot to know what we were trying to do without us expressly asking for it. To do that, it needs to be aware of everything that we did at all times, basically. So, to put it nicely, somewhere the machine has to know everything you did and in what order. Otherwise, how can it know to figure out what you were trying to do? How can it try to help you improve how you're going about things? It needs to know everything you did. It needs analytics to be front and center in a way, right? So, given all those problems, this is a solution I propose. Instead of having individual chats, there's just one big massive chat called a timeline. And so each colored square here represents a chat with a different bot. This little compacted one down here represents a chat that was collapsed or compressed down because I didn't need to see it all for whatever reason. But basically, when I chat, I can, depending on the configuration of the bot or my own settings in this timeline, I can allow each bot to see the context of what came before it, if necessary or not. And then when I go to carry on something, like say I'm down here, I'm talking with the business plan, I'm talking about a business plan. Then I want to go back to talking about a translation issue. I should be able to click on that or indicate it in text and then come back and carry on with it. And all that will happen is it will collapse down anything that happened in between. And now I'm chatting with this thing. It may or may not, depending on settings, be aware of what chats I had in between when I broke out to another bot. But the point is that I think that we can deliver everything that we've spoken about, and this is why I come to you with it, because I was looking for some counterexamples or some questions. Everything that we spoke about can be delivered if we do this timelining method, where this timeline is your linear history that you have done. Every time you do something, it creates a new item in the timeline, and that's the ultimate context. That's what you've done.
Mm-hmm. Let me think. Are these assets that are swapped in when you switch to and from? So if I had two parallel conversations, one to do with Lamrog and Josh, the other one to do with Christmas, and I switched from one to the other, would they say if it was Lamrog and Josh, it would be talking about recipes
Mm-hmm.
and not talking about Christmas?
Mm-hmm.
So back to what we're saying about the key to good bot responses are containing context and reducing.
Correct. But then to get your intent, the bot also needs to be able to expand context across multiple chats.
Sure. So if I was talking about Lamrock and Josh, and I'm saying, would this be okay at Christmas? It would then go and what fetch everything I'd said about Christmas and add that into the context.
Possibly, yeah. If the
That
bot
would
was
be.
configured that way.
I mean, that would be kind of cool because at the moment, uh, well, as you were just explaining, silos are a bitch.
Right.
Everything is siloed.
This is for sure a silo buster.
So if it knew as part of its context, saying previously you talked about Christmas, previously you talked about going skiing, previously you talked about Lamrock and Josh. You're talking about Lamrock and Josh. Here's everything I know about Lamrock and Josh. And then you mention Christmas, and it's like, oh, now I need to load up into the context everything you've said about Christmas. Is that what you're
Right.
saying?
Yeah, sort of. But that is you trying to talk to a single bot that's having to dance around between contexts, which I think is entirely doable and um, possible, but that's not what we have in front of us, and that is something akin to a universal agent, which I think everyone agrees is the target, but we
Mm-hmm.
don't have that now, and we may not have it for a while, and even when we do, we may find that having dedicated agents or dedicated bots suits our purposes more succinctly than this thing that tries to be everything all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, how I would imagine your conversation flicking between things to go is that you would be here and you're talking about Rogue and Josh, and then you might say something like, "Hey, operator, I want to go back to talking about Christmas. What was I talking about?" And that would flick back the conversation that you were having, or it might start a new one and haul in context from your other chats that have occurred. But
So I could say something like, "Hey, operator, I want to talk about Lamrock and Josh and Christmas."
yeah, and then it might start a new bot where it inserts the summarized topics of the other conversations into that, plus the background knowledge that it's found as well. Things like that. I think that we've ended up thinking in the UIs that were given to us um, by the current incumbents, I guess. Thinking about, this is one step up from ChatGPT. ChatGPT's here with its stuff here. This conversation and this conversation are never going to be one and the same thing because they're kind of made,
And I know that, and that
right?
does my head in, and
I
that's
know,
where all the copy and paste come from.
I know. But then here you're like, well, it is meaningful context that I looked at this and then I looked at this. Like, what does that mean? Where is that recorded? Maybe it means nothing. Maybe it means a lot. How how would the machine know if it never got the chance to even process that?
Hmm.
And so,
Um, oh, it's just a self-referential thing. It's like I understand that you've just clicked on this, you've clicked through, and you've asked something about this.
right, and then it's something in the background should be considering all that and being like, well, maybe we could rearrange the buttons because this poor man is clicking everywhere. Or maybe he's searching for some other thing. What could he be thinking about? Let's go run some background checks. And it's like, it should be trying to just feed off every little thing I do. And then when it's sure it's got me, when it's like, oh, I know what he wants, then it's like, hey, is this, did you really want a Lamb Rogan Josh recipe book for Christmas? Is that what you wanted? And then, right, like if it can do those things
Mm-hmm.
that are like whispering beyond what you even knew you wanted, but when they hit it, you're like, oh yeah, that's the
Yeah, that'd
thing,
be it'd be magic if it got it right.
right? But it doesn't
That'd
have to
be
hit everyone so long as it knows when to shut up. Like if it's not sure, shut up. If it just
mm,
hit one of those a week, people would never go anywhere else.
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
So the timeline device is sort of what I want to present to you to break out of this issue, because it presents it more in a tool-like fashion. Like, logically, if you only had tool calls to navigate the system, this device more closely represents what you would see.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it was text only, navigating CD here, CD there, because that's what a terminal would look like if you were using the CLI. You're like, okay, pull up the chat on Lamrogan and Josh, bang. Now switch to the chat about translation, bang. This is what a CLI feed would look like.
Mm-hmm.
This is what bash history would be.
Mm-hmm.
This context dropping, this jarring switch between chats, and they like, honestly, could you think of a piece of information further away from this chat than the chat very next to it? Like, those two things are never going to be merged. How do I get this into that?
Copy and paste.
And even then you're like, is this how I do it? Like, is it doing it right? Like, what if it's really long? Oh no, what's all this? Is this gonna be in the, like, what, where, how, why? What if I do, I know, Control All? What do I get? Did that get it all?
That's my life. Oh, hold on a second. Hold a second. Give me a sec.
Yep.
Marco. What's that? Hey! Ew. That's a key. Okay. Are you a drilling idiot now? Well, that's the whole point. Was it okay? Alright. Try not to drink any hot liquids. You could try a straw. No. Well, you're still going to dribble anyway. Okay, no, don't worry about it. Yeah, it's blood. It's just blood. Yep, I'm back.
Right. So
the now talk me through this display you've got here, in terms of a narrative.
Yep. I start chatting. I pick a bot. The bot is one that I like to talk to about React components. Then I'm chatting, and I'm like, oh, hang on, I need to talk about translations. So I might click on the discovery bot, and then I talk to the discovery bot about, I need to do a translation. It's like, here's the translation bot. And it comes, off I go, chat. Then I'm like, I need to do something else. Halfway through that chat, I'm like, oh, just minimize that. I don't need to see that at the same time, whatever. Then I might say something like, okay, I need to see all of my timelines, please, because I think you should be able to have many of them, but you kind of don't want to have a lot, because you sort of want to, So I'm like, okay, chatting with my timeline, I might be like, oh, can you delete that bit where I asked about this thing, please? It's like, sure, gone, deleted. The state board is here all the time, so I can click on this item, which would open the state board up for the React component. I can click on this item, which would open the state board up with the translation tooling. I can click on this one that would open up the state board with the timeline management thing. Then I might say, okay, it's time to have a chat. So I click on the chats agent. So this starts a new chat with the chats agent, or the
Mm-hmm.
the external chats agent. Then I can click on a stateboard option that opens up all the chats I'm having. I can then say to this agent, "Hey, can you tell can you tell all these channels to go get stuffed," and then force quit, rage quit, the whole lot. And then it's like, okay, goes off, does all the rage quitting, blah 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 blah. That's extra context here. Then I go, okay, I now want to go have a chat with Mr. Maxwell. So it takes me to that. Then I can pick this chat and be like, I want to add this as context, and I want to add this as context. And then I might go, hey, I'm looking for the context on Lamrock and Josh as well. Where is that? And it's like, blah, 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 blah. The search results come back. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll have that one and that one and that one. And then I go, okay, send it to the chat.
Right, right. So I did various actions there. You created threads and context.
Yep,
Then you deleted threads or parts of threads,
yep,
and then you brought in a subset of the threads that you had into a new thread,
yep.
which is now what you're talking about.
Right. So there are some key features that we always test, you and I. We don't think we've ever really written them down, but there's things like talking about a thread, so turning a thread into a subject as opposed to something you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jumping between contexts, so like jumping from this thread into that thread into that thread, then possibly bringing in the context, um, adding files, using state boards. Like I don't know, man. I'm like I feel like it does it all.
It does. I do keep on harking back to this one thread to rule them all.
Yeah,
That's just kind of it sits down and you know sits down. How can it sit down? It's a thread. Um,
one thread,
you're
right? The
yeah
uni thread. It's like the
you're
universal
yeah
thread.
you're talking about Lamrog and Josh, and it's like, dude, you talked about this, 3 months ago.
Yeah,
You do you want to pull that in? It's like, yeah, I have no idea what I said 3 months ago because you know,
right.
it's like, yeah, bring that in.
Mm.
Um, the um, the task that would be really useful, and I know I've not talked about this for a while, but it's hey, there's a birthday coming up. It's like, oh, excellent. Whose birthday is it? Oh, it's Stu's birthday. Right. Well, you last year you talked about this. The year before you talked about that. Okay, can we bring that in? And what will be a really thoughtful present this year?
Yeah, so I think that this interface lets you have that, right? Because then you immediately you sort that out, and then you switch back to whatever you were doing before.
Right. Yeah. It's
But
like,
then you can prompt up a bot to always be looking um, exactly 1 year and 1 week in the past, and scrounging around looking for what you were doing then to be like, hey, here's there's some other. This is coming up. This is coming up. This is. Do you want to do something about this thing?
yeah, there's something about what you've explicitly done and what can be surfaced in the background
Yeah,
and propose.
yeah. And so the loading up of stuff can definitely be done in a traditional interface like ChatGPT or whatever, because you could just show it as stuff loading, like it's like it
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
background. It's like found this, found that, loading, loading, loading. But it's the thing that still bothers me is the ability to switch like this. And there's no reason why I can't have these things running in parallel. Like I'm like down here, I'm working on this, and then I switch back to that, and then I switch back to that, and they kind of, it just makes it be one thing more.
Oh, yeah, because at the moment I'm doing that via tabs. Same thing. It's like,
Right,
right, I'll ask
right.
you this, get another tab up. but then you lose track of tabs really quickly because
Yeah.
there's nothing sitting above all the tabs.
Nah,
So
nah. It's like you're at the top of the box. Like the
yeah,
agent has no idea how many tabs it's in, right?
yeah,
Out of
yeah,
control.
exactly.
So
So the cognitive load is on you, which is never
yeah,
good.
right, which sucks. And so this thread is like you could be like, "Hey, summarizer, what the fuck? Like, what have I talked about? I'm kind of lost. What should I be doing now?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, blah 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 blah." I
I like the idea. Sorry to interrupt. I like
yeah
the idea of operator, which you mentioned, and I know we've
yeah.
talked about this for a few. Well, it's been dipping in and out, hasn't it?
Well, yeah. I think operator
Um,
is like maybe the discovery bot.
yeah, it's operator. What threads have I got going on in the last day?
Mm,
It's like you've been talking about this, and this. All right, okay. Can you
mm.
get this thread and that thread together? Because I want to combine them and talk to a new thread about both of those,
Yeah,
and you pull it in. So
yeah.
that operator function seems quite
But that
central.
fits very naturally here because operator was a bit of a fucking operator was dorky to try and like backchat was dorky. In this
Yeah,
interface, trying to chuck operator in is like, where does that go? And the answer is it could go kind of everywhere, which means it doesn't go anywhere. But the the real blunt, simple reason I want to use with this is to say like it's obvious where every piece goes in this system. It always goes right there. Like
yeah,
there's no like maybe we should put this thing over here or this. It's like no man. There's one
yeah.
place. It goes right there. It goes in the chronological order that you entered it. And that's it.
It's also got a benefit if people understand timelines very well. I mean, WhatsApp's a timeline.
Well, you got like history, right? Like the your
Yeah,
browsing history. You know, this will be like a live stream faux pas for the ages, but browsing history. You're like, okay, here's this is the timeline, right? This
right.
is what I did, and there's no reason that we can't have these timelines with different view settings. Like you could show every little click I did because that should be available to the bots, but I might want to filter the timeline. I don't want to show that. So, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. But the important thing is being able to merge timelines.
why is that important?
Because I might be talking about one topic, I'm Rob and Josh, another topic, Christmas, and I might want to say, I want to talk about both of these topics.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
that's
want them
not
to be
merging the
split anyway.
timeline. That's merging the
Oh,
contents of the timeline.
well, yeah, yeah. It's creating a new
You're
instance.
referencing parts of another timeline, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that that's perfectly fine and we can support it. I would like to imagine that the single timeline view would maybe win out, but I don't know. I don't know. I
but your basic assumption, I think, is right.
okay, so I should build this thing because that's
I think so.
sort of seems like it solves a lot of problems.
It does, and it seems like it doesn't take too much to understand.
No, and it also has the benefit of being easier to build as well,
Okay, that's all.
because
That
it's
was a
like
good one.
how hard can it be? Like it's like there's no fancy fucking anything. It's just like you spoke to that bot, yeah, you spoke to that bot. Okay, you spoke to another bot. Okay, shove it on the stack. Like,
Yeah. So if I went to go up the stack, so if you go up to your first one,
hmm.
I could click on there and continue that thread.
Yeah, but it would collapse everything below it to make it look like you were talking in it, but in actual fact, what's happened is this other stuff has occurred in between, and then you came back to it,
Yeah.
but we just collapse it down because that's easy. If you wanted to, you could make the bot aware of the other things that happened in between, but I think that a lot of the time you don't want that, and especially initially, we don't
Yeah,
we want control over that. Like maybe you do, maybe you don't. But
probably what I'd want is one of these things that I could click on in the timeline is operator. What happens if you go timeline wise between bots? So bot A, bot B, bot A, bot B. Um, in the display, are those dispersed or
I think they're just interleaved because you're like spoke to bot A, spoke to bot B. Like each of these elements should be collapsible, and if we want, we should be able to collapse a whole sequence in the timeline, particularly if
right?
like
Right. So
like
if you did A B, and it's like I want to talk to B, then A is collapsed and
yeah,
it
it's just
looks
sort of
the same.
it just
Right.
sort of scrunches up, and you can click on it to add as context if you want. Like you can be like add that as context or not, but
Yeah.
it's doing is it's just sort of zooming in on what you want to do right now, but it still maintains this timeline structure.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I quite like that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
All
like,
right. I'll go for it.
yeah, so you can collapse and expand. You can go from thread to thread.
And then you can like
Operator would still be really useful.
it is. I reckon operator goes in there just fine because you go in, you chat to operator, and then operator becomes another bot. Like it switches you out to another bot, and then
Yeah.
all you'll see in your timeline is spoke to operator. Bot A has joined the chat, and that was the handoff.
Yeah. Operator would probably be the first thing I want to talk to.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, sure. But
Maybe it's just preference, but
look, I mean, this is already an improvement on. It's an improvement on this, right?
oh, for sure.
Okay,
That's a
and
horrible
it's an
thing as well.
improvement on this,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, my other aspect that's similar is that now I think you'll like this. I think I may have accidentally, very subtly, backed into transcludes
Oh,
by way
okay.
of a very simple set of base tools called the clipboard.
Okay.
So what I realized was that when you load a tool pack, which I guess we need to have a naming discussion one day and kill some names, but when I load a MCAP,
Mm-hmm.
I get the tools that it gives me, but it's also apparent that it needs to sometimes load resources, where resources are ways to read data from an MCP server. So the MCP server has these tools that you can do like active calls into, but optionally it can also provide resources that give you a way to read data from the MCP server in convenient forms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when I, for example, when I call load on MCP resources clipboard, it's going to load me up these tools, but it's also going to show me these resources.
Mm-hmm.
And so the clipboard in this sense is I can navigate around, so I can switch to, files read and all that, and I can go copy, which is going to push that item onto this clipboard.
Mm-hmm.
And the clipboard is really the transcludes, because I could push anything that can display as a resource, I can push it onto the clipboard with fidelity. So when I push it on the clipboard, I take note in the program of what was the repo, the branch, the commit, and whatever finer details that were referenced during this this clipboard event, and what MCAP was used to present that resource, and what was the name according to the MCAP resource that I'm storing on the clipboard, which means that I can push, and I get this stack of clipboard items, which could be, it could be a repo, I could push a branch, I could push a file, I could push a custom handwritten thing, I could push a chat, I could push anything at all. I can push it onto the clipboard. And then when I get ready to call another function, I can call the function and pass the clipboard along as well. So when I call the chat function, like the user types in a message and goes chat, I can also pass the clipboard down as well.
That's transcode.
There's a transcode, eh?
Yeah.
And then additionally with the clipboard is save. So I can take a clipboard that I've loaded up from navigating around all around.
My stash. Yeah, that's what was mean by stash. It's like,
oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's like,
right, okay. So the stash was really just a list of things that they really were stored somewhere else, but you had a handle on them or a reference, and you wanted to push them down somewhere when the time was right, like include it in this chat. Okay, so save means that I build up the clipboard, I save it. Load means that I can load an already saved clipboard and drop whatever I have. And drop is just clear the clipboard. And if I want to read it, then I just read what's on the current clipboard from the resources, where keeping in mind that reading costs no actions, so reading doesn't change any state. And I can read the clipboard saves. And honestly, I think that's it. And then sounds like it, right?
It does.
And then to present that in the user interface, that would be the clipboard. So you would, as a user, when the bot goes around and adds things to your clipboard, you'll see them pop up here, like because that's all it is. And now it's able to have anything. It can have like MP3 files, music files, custom data formats, 3D models, text files, a whole repo, like a chat with a friend, a group chat can be pushed on there. Like anything at all can be pushed on there.
And then recalled into the current thread and saying, hey, do you remember this?
Yeah.
But also it's now in context to the thread that you're talking with at the time.
And so that's the little device, like to carry on that thinking of, you have the tools thing, right? Tools was just switch, search, and fetch. Then you have this other tool that's real simple for the clipboard. That's really just push, pop, save, load, drop. And it's like, actually, that's all of transcludes in 5 function calls.
Yes, you're right.
And you just go around anywhere you like. You navigate here, you make some mistakes, you pick up some things, you drop some things, you try again, you go around, you're like, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's my clipboard that I want to save or push into this other operation. Go. And then this is the part that really got me excited. I was able to go through some of the other options that I have, like files write. So files write paste is really easy when you have the clipboard. But my previous iteration of paste, if you have the patience, I'll show you what it actually was, and I think this will highlight what my freaking problem was. I'll take an easier one to see the starkness. So this was the old artifact interface, and then if I go into the branches list, see how I had things like move, or oh no, where's a better one, like copy. Sorry, buddy. Here, and the files. Yeah, so files move was already hard. Copy, right? So I'm like, copy a file from this file to this file from this scope, which could have been another repo branch and path, or some other, or it could have been like it just now copy is supposed to be only aware of files, but now copy is aware of repos,
Right, right,
branches,
right.
right?
Yeah,
It's right, all
yeah,
the shit
okay.
that it doesn't fucking
Yeah,
need to know, quite frankly.
yeah.
And so what the beauty of the clipboard is that the agent goes around and browses stuff, and it's like, oh, I found this thing, okay, clipboard, and then it goes and browses, and then it's like, paste it, and
Right,
and it
right, right,
right,
right, right.
and
Because yeah.
the
Sorry, go on.
tooling didn't have to know about things that it doesn't need to know anything about the source of where it came from. It's like, just fucking handle the file I gave you.
Yeah,
I gave you the file.
I think that's nailed it. That's exactly what, in my head, I was hoping it would do, where you
Yeah,
could bring in disparate things from different
disparate
areas
things from
into an object and then
any
talk about
object
it.
across all
Yeah,
of Artifact Land, and you can just paste it down. It's like, oh, yep, cool, I got it. Thank you.
that's pretty sweet. I like that.
So the only thing I was, for a time, I was going to make remove be the same as cut, where I could use the clipboard as a deletion tool, but I thought against it, because then, in general MCAP terms, remove is very application specific. Like, it might
Mhm.
have triggers or other types of operation that it entails. It's never just a clean, simple remove. And so that's why I left remove in there, and I left paste in there, because paste is, the MCAP needs to say how the incoming data is going to be put in the destination that you're pointing at,
Mhm.
and that's not for the clipboard to say,
Mm.
I think. But then again, also on like branches, right? Like pasting down a branch. I don't need to know where the branch came from. Branches don't need to know about repos. They just need to know about branches. Um, Same with like, repos themselves. Like, I don't need to include copy as a tool in repo management, because copy is universal in the clipboard. I can copy any resource. And so, um, paste, I mean, I don't need to know about other repos. I can just drop down. So anyway, that seemed like a unexpected, simple little tool that unlocks transcludes.
Yeah, I think you're right. Does it fall down anywhere? If you had, no, that's being a bit harsh here. But say two transcludes in your, stash, and you want to include both, that's already covered. If you could select both. If you wanted to select only part of each, then you can go into each transclude and then copy into another. Yeah, that covers that as well. I can't think of where this falls down.
No, man. It suddenly seems like all the things we wanted, and then it also has a very clear visual counterpart, because you could watch the bot navigate around building up the clipboard, and you just see it start populating here, and it's like, oh, it's filling my basket for me. It's making all the
Well,
things.
and presumably you could click on, say, that orange tile you've got there and saying, okay, copy that.
Yeah, I could add that in and manually, and that would be in keeping with the mode of development where we're saying that every UI action must be a tool call. And so
Yeah.
when I click on that and go copy, or copy to clipboard, that's using the tool call in the background. I've done the selection, and then
Right.
I've gone copy.
So I could go copy there. I could move two up in the timeline, copy that,
Yep.
And those will be available for the next thing I'm going to say, which is effectively transcoding two threads.
Yeah.
Yeah, works. Nice. I think that works. Can I break it?
So
Can't think
that
of anything right now. I'll
yeah,
try.
so
I'll
look,
try.
I'd really appreciate if you could have a think through, what we've been over in this recording for this UI, because the UI is incredibly frustrating and it costs so much time if you get it wrong.
Mm.
But the key is it has to map exactly to tool call land, and I think this is it because it reflects what a bot would see. Like if I was a bot, this is my message history. And yes, I can edit my message history if I want, but should I and do I normally want to? Probably only in special occasions. But I am now a bot, or a bot can be me, because our perception of the data structures is identical.
Yep. Yep.
And then, this super narrow lens that we give everything, this is all the commands that I think Artifact needs, like the files, the branches, the repository management. These are tiny. Like, this is a tiny set of packs of tools that can be discovered and swapped in and out anytime. You could also create a bot that was made with some of them, like if you had a very special purpose thing. And then also you can do the same with any dynamic macaps that you make, like the chat macap, the concat macap. I mean, all of these different macaps, they can do whatever they like, but they're still just part of the registry that gets searched for, checked for relevance, loaded, used. They present resources that can be copied onto the clipboard. They may accept pasting. You turn it, you unload them. Now they're gone. Like it's just feels like the full ecosystem in a very tiny number of tool packs.
I think you're right.
And the bots just have to get good at grinding around and being like, check, false, check, dead end, no, back, no, bang. And that I think will come, and I think it's safe to bet on that because, deep research will be faster and it has whopping great high scores. Plus, we're good prompters. I'm sure we can figure out ways to make it suitably
No, for sure.
suitably workable for whatever we've got. And then as the bots get better, like we're actually in a really good spot here because we're asking for something that the current bots are not exactly that good at, but we think it's going to come. And so we've got the infrastructure in place so that as soon as like the next release of the bot comes in, we auto run the evals and we're like, boom, we just went up 20%. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that's the end goal, right?
I agree. I'll think about this. What's the drawing there? Okay. I'll look at this recording. I can't fault it right now.
Okay.
I could do everything that I'm doing in a really cack-handed, multi-tab, multi-cut and paste, multi-text file way with what's just been described. All right. I'm running out of time here.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm done, buddy.
Yeah. Nice one. All right.
Cool.
Well, let's leave it there.
Okay, sweet.
Wednesday's next.
Yep. The universal thread. That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
And then all together it presents as a universal agent. So yeah, Wednesday. I'll see you then.
Wednesday. Yeah, nice one.
Okay, see you, bud.
All right. See you, man.